Psalm 32 is a truly marvelous prayer that helps purify the soul, releases guilt, and invites blessings into your life. Now, Psalm 32 is part of a larger playlist called the Psalms of Purification. It is a very important puzzle piece of that larger puzzle. Working Psalm 32 on its own is very powerful and potent, and I will show you exactly how to do so in this video. But if you want to go deeper, if you want to enhance your spiritual purification, your healing, then I highly recommend you go to the link in this description to watch the full playlist in order. It is important before we start to remember that we don't just recite the Psalms. We don't just sing the Psalms. The Psalms really are a piece of magical technology, of spiritual technology that has been passed through generations for countless centuries. The Psalms hold magical lessons and seeds within them that, when properly understood and applied, give you the benefits of these Psalms. Now, Psalm 32 allows you to truly cleanse your soul and allow yourself to reconnect with your own divine essence and spirit. It's not just a recounting of events, it's really a revelation of this inner alchemy that helps transform guilt and sin into grace and communion with yourself. It turns sorrow into joy. Now in verse 1, it tells us that blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Here the psalm opens with an affirmation of blessing. And notice that this is a very powerful declaration. Blessed is he is not some conditional statement. It's an invitation to you to recognize the divinity within you. When they speak of transgression and sin in this mystical light, in this esoteric interpretation, we understand that these words are symbols and show us a separation from our true self. Sin is forgetting your own divine nature and using your own divine creative power to create a life, to manifest, to realize a life that is not in alignment with your true desires. So if you are sick, then this is sin, and this can be cleansed using the lessons in this psalm. Because they are just errors, they're just illusions, mistaken identifications because of limiting beliefs. In this verse, forgiveness is not something that is bestowed upon you by someone or something or some being, but rather the inner recognition that you are already whole and complete. And when you realize that, you forgive sin, you become blessed. Your own transgressions from the past, your own misspent energy are forgiven. To forgive yourself is to cover those missteps with self-love, which is a transformative act that restores you to your natural state of grace and joy. Now, these teachings remind you that the mind is the builder of all reality. And so when you shift your inner narrative, you begin to reconstruct your world, your body, your soul. Verse 2, Blessed is the man unto whom the Lord imputeth not iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no guile. This verse expands on the blessing of a purified spirit. To be free of iniquity is to live without the burden of self-deception. It is to truly call sincerity and truth qualities that allow our own inner light to shine. When we speak of guile in the spirit, we are really referring to distortions and illusions that prevent us from seeing our divine nature clearly. It also shows us that really we cannot achieve anything in life through guile. Some people believe they have to lie, they have to cheat, they have to manipulate events, people to get things. But ultimately that is all limitation, that is all sin. You are giving power to things that hold no power in and of themselves. You're limiting yourself by acting and going through life in that way. And so when you take that power back, there is no need to lie, no need to cheat, no need to manipulate. When this message is accepted, you know that ultimately everything in your reality comes from within, because that's where the divine power is. In your journey of purification, it's essential to be honest with yourself. Acknowledge your shadows, but don't cling to them. In verse 3 it says, "When I kept silent, my bones waxed old through my groaning all the day long." Now, this is talking about the consequences of repression. When you hold inner truths in silence, when we refuse to speak our authentic self, our very being grows weary. The imagery of bones waxing old evokes a sense of stagnation, a physical and emotional decay that is brought to you by the suppression of your inner life. Again, you hold on to this limitation, and because of that, the very core of your being, your bones, cause you great pain. It is as though the body, the vessel of our spirit, responds to our internal discord by manifesting this weariness, this sickness, this illness, this disease. Now, in this case, this silence is the act of denying your own creative power. It is to sort of accept the way things are, to have given up and to have grown tired of your state, but to have accepted defeat, essentially. And when you accept defeat, that is the greatest of sins. Because once you've accepted defeat, you've turned away all hope for salvation, all hope for the forgiveness of sin, which is what your own divine power is. That is what Jesus Christ is in Scripture. It is your own power to forgive your own sins. And again, when I speak of sin, remember, I'm not talking about some laws of religion, some things you can't do. I'm simply talking about your own misspent divine energy. So allow yourself to be released from that burden. Okay, no longer be silent, express your divine power, and that will forgive that sin of having accepted defeat, of having accepted limitation. In verse 4, it goes, "For day and night thy hand was heavy upon me. The sap of my soul was turned into the drought of summer." In this verse, the imagery intensifies. There's this heavy hand of the divine, which is not a force of oppression, but a catalyst for transformation. It's ever present. A hand allows you to build things, to create things. It is something that is humans. Only human beings have hands in the way that we have. And we use them. We are the only animal that uses our hands in the way that we do. And so the sap of my soul represents the essence of life, which becomes withered when subjected to this harshness of unexpressed pain and guilt. And there's this drought that parches the spirit like the summer's relentless heat. So we must pause. We must take this as an invitation to reflect deeply, to really look back on how we have misspent our energy using this hand. What have we created? What have we built for ourselves? Accept that that is what we have done, and then decide to build something new, something better. The day and night here refers to both halves of the mind, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. You have used both for ill effect. The conscious mind is the mind of the day, and the subconscious mind is the mind of the night. And it is through our actions of the daily mind that we impress the nightly mind. So use the daily mind, use the conscious mind to begin to plant these seeds of renewal in your own deep mind, in your subconscious mind, in the mind of the night. Do this with your own divine hand, the hand that allows you to create. In verse 5 it tells us, "I acknowledge my sin unto thee, and mine iniquity have I not hid. I said, I will confess my transgressions unto the Lord, and thou forgavest the iniquity of my sin." Again, this is the heart of that purification. Acknowledge your sin, realize that you have misspent your energy. You've used it to fuel your sickness, to enhance the weariness, the groaning. Acknowledge this, acknowledge that you have misused your own divine power. Recognize that you've forgotten your true self. And recognize that to yourself. Don't recognize it to someone else. Don't talk about your own sin to someone else. You don't have to. It can all be resolved within you. You don't need to go to confession to some priest. Confess to yourself. And then notice the transformative power of that confession. not as some ritual of shame, don't beat yourself up about it, but use it as an act of reclaiming your own divinity. When we confess, we're not dwelling in self-condemnation. We are really affirming our commitment to truth and to self-realization. The forgiveness here is instantaneous and liberating. And as you declare this truth, the divine within you really responds with grace, with washing away this residue of guilt that you felt. It's really reminiscent of the wisdom from the Kabbalion, where it says, as above, so below. By acknowledging your inner state, you begin to realign with the higher truth of who you are. Verse 6. For this shall every one that is godly pray unto thee in a time when thou mayst be found. Surely the floods of great waters shall not come nigh unto him. Now this is where you, the psalmist, assure yourself that the path of the purified spirit is one of protection and grace. Because the time when thou mayst be found is always. It is ever present. It's not only on a Sunday, or only on a Saturday, or only on a Friday, or only on this day, or only when the stars align. Right? Not on the spring equinox, right? It is always, it is ever present, it is always now. So, you don't need to travel to some temple far away, to the Holy Land, very distant somewhere on earth. You don't have to go there at a certain date or hour. No, it is right here where you are right now. The floods of the great waters, they symbolize this overwhelming force of life that can seek to erode your peace. But the promise here is clear that when you are aligned with your divine nature, nothing can disturb this inner sanctuary. It's a call to persistent, heartfelt prayer. Not to some being in the sky, not to some being outside of you, but to the divinity within. To your own I am presence. And prayer is not just the recitation of some words, but it is the living, the accepting, the assuming of this message. When you begin to live your life as if every moment is a prayer, now you're safeguarding your soul against the storms of life. Verse 7, Thou art my hiding place. Thou shalt preserve me from trouble. Thou shalt compass me about with songs of deliverance. Again, this hiding place is deep within you. It is really your own nature. It's deeply comforting. It speaks of this intimate shelter that is divine presence. It is really this inner sanctum that shields you from the tempests of life. These songs of deliverance are affirmations and inner melodies that uplift you and transform you. Right? You can use the Psalms as songs of deliverance, but simply saying to yourself, I am healthy, I am purified, is a song of deliverance. As long as it is a spontaneous expression of this joy and gratitude and realization that arises when you truly align with the message of this psalm. And then it says in verse 8, I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. Now here you encounter the promise of guidance. The divine is not distant, as I've said before. It is intimately involved in your own journey, in your own being. The instruction offered here is a reminder that the path of purification is one that is here for you to walk right now. Again, not distant, not in the future, not in the past, but in the now. Because the eye of God, I will guide thee with mine eye, is the eye of awareness. And your awareness is wherever you go. You've never not been aware. And when you realize that, you know that divine presence, you've recognized the divine presence is always there, is ever present. This idea that true knowledge comes from within, from this revelation of this inner eye. And you've probably seen on my channel that I've used this eye symbolism in quite a lot of places. That is exactly what it means. Trust in this process of unfolding. Follow this intuitive nudge that steers you towards your highest good, towards this realization of eternal presence. Can you close your physical eyes and can you begin to watch, to look, to see with the eye of God instead? Close your eyes and can you imagine what it would be like if you were healthy, if you were purified, if you were free from sin, if instead of misspending your energy, you spent it fruitfully, lovingly. What would that look like? If you can see that with your own divine eye, then it must become so. In verse 9, it tells us, "Be ye not as the horse or the mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with bit and bridle, lest they not come near unto thee." Now, this is a very vivid analogy that serves as a reminder against mindless resistance. The horse and the mule are animals. They symbolize that which is tethered by limited understanding and mechanical obedience. They lack this freedom of spirit, and they don't listen to this inner call. They are aware of just being a horse and a mule and not much more. And if you remain only aware of you as a human, then really you are the same as a horse and a mule. But instead, use that divine eye. Don't use your physical human eyes, right? These are the eyes that only the horse and the mule use. But instead use that eye of the divine, your third eye, that allows you to see things as they could be, not as they are. Because in contrast to these animals, your journey is one of awareness and conscious choice. So you are invited to free your inner voice from the constraints of external control. Let your inner wisdom guide you, unbridled and unfiltered. And know that this inner guidance, this inner sight, is far superior to any imposed restriction from any external stimuli outside of you. Really embrace this freedom, because this is the freedom. This is the message of Christ in Scripture. Allow your inner voice to speak boldly and clearly, unimpeded by these chains of habit and fear. You're not a beast of burden. You are a radiant spirit with infinite, and I mean it, truly infinite potential. Verse 10 says, "Many shall be the sorrows of the wicked, but he that trusteth in the Lord, mercy shall compass him about." Again, the wicked are those that have misspent their energy, those that sin. The sinners are the wicked. The misguided that have used their divine eye really not at all, or have misspent that sight, that inner sight. But when you trust in the Lord, which is again your eye and presence, your inner eye, when you trust in that, then there shall be mercy for you. There shall be this forgiveness of sin. There shall be this removal of the old state of whatever has kept you from accepting purity, divine purity. When you choose this trust, to trust in the Lord, you really invite this mercy into your life, and it begins to nurture you. Even if right now your life is a chaos of inevitable struggles. These are not inevitable, right? That is what this verse tells us. Simply trust in the Lord. Simply trust in this message of this psalm. Trust in yourself. Turn that awareness inside of you rather than apparently outside of you. And then the final verse, verse 11, "Be glad in the Lord and rejoice, ye righteous, and shout for joy, all ye that are upright in heart." Well, again, this couldn't be more clear. We close here with an exuberant call to joy, because that is the ultimate expression of purification. When you feel joyous, when you feel joy, that is the clearest sign that you're perfectly aligned, that you've gotten rid of your sin, that you've left these old states of consciousness behind you. Now you're aligned with this natural state of your soul that has been cleansed and restored. To be upright in heart means to live in alignment with this divine truth, with love and divine purpose. This joyful shout is a celebration, but also a declaration, an affirmation that regardless of past sorrows, missteps, misspent energy, sin, the purified spirit rises now in jubilant unity with the divine. Here we see this true embodiment of the creative power of your inner eye. To imagine yourself already in this state of purity, well, it must become a reality. This is law. So Psalm 32, as you can see now, hopefully, is a truly transformative process of inner purification that liberates you from guilt and welcomes this divine blessing. It is a prayer of profound spiritual purification and an affirmation and an embracing of your own divine power. Now, if you want to work the full collection of the 7 Psalms of Purification, which I highly recommend you do, Psalm 32 is wonderful. These lessons shine so much more when you work them fully. You can look for the link to the full playlist in this video description. Each of the Psalms there is a potent tool to help you with inner transformation and purification. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of Psalm 32. Subscribe if you would like to see more of these lessons, and I would be very grateful if you could like and share this video with the people that might need this message. Thank you and take care.